Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Local 1500 September General Membership Meeting. Appreciate everyone's patience, and we especially appreciate everyone's attendance. Typically, when we get these meetings started, we do some of our business beforehand, before we join the Facebook Live crew. So I know a lot of folks were reaching out and saying that they couldn't the meeting couldn't get started, but we typically start a few minutes after 7. And look, we prior to you joining the meeting, we did we recited the Pledge of Allegiance and did conduct a moment of silence for our departed members. Something that we always need to do right before we get our meeting started. I just want to do our routine welcome and say thank you for joining again. For those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, please identify yourselves in the comment area, name and store number, name, company, and store number, not only for attendance purposes, however, also we will be having a raffle at the end of the meeting, and your notification of your attendance is basically your raffle ticket to enter the raffle. So we have a dedicated staff here that is monitoring the chatter on Facebook Live, monitoring all of the comments, and also taking down names and taking attendance. So the earlier you tap in with your attendance and your name, we will be able to write an attendance card for you and put it in the box at the end of the meeting for the raffle. So please make sure you do that, and welcome again. I guess first piece of business, I'm gonna point to you, James, in the back. You want to come up for a few minutes and address the crowd? This is James Warsaw from Fusco, Brandenstein, and Rada, our workers' comp attorneys, who many of you have worked closely with. We're going to ask James to come up and address the crowd. Fusco Group never misses a general membership meeting.
Thanks as always. Thank you very much.
Coming.
Hello all.
Yeah, see you.
Yeah, I see a lot of familiar faces, so I'll try to keep it pretty brief today, but welcome each and every one of you if you'd like to stop by. I have a table set up in the back with some materials, and for those of you who've heard my spiel on who we are and what we do, it's good to see you again. Those of you who haven't, I'm James Warsaw. Work with Fusco, Brandenstein, and Rada. We do work with workplace injuries, Social Security work, a few other areas, but most common is going to be the workers' compensation. And if someone is injured and out for longer than expected, it can turn into a Social Security disability claim. So all under one roof in different departments. We do have main office over in Woodbury. We have offices in Comac, Medford, and in each borough in New York City. So one close to you. If you'd like to come by and take some information, be happy to discuss any questions anyone has individually. There's a lot of incorrect information that goes around about workers' compensation, and for those of us who think we know it, then they'll come out with different guidelines and a set of rules where things are constantly changing too. So good to have us as a resource. Our interests are aligned with yours. No out-of-pocket expense for representation. We'll walk you through all aspects of a claim, try to make things as easy as possible. Have a great relationship with the union for many, many years. So, again, feel free to come by and take some materials or give us a call at the office. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, James. I really appreciate it, and thank you to the Fusco team. Always there, always out there for our members. We have a very long relationship with our Fusco family, and a very good track record with them helping our members out there. So again, thank you. He's in the back. He's got his banner there. He's got information back there. Everyone here knows someone who was injured on the job. Please, if you have any questions, whether for you or for someone else, feel free to ask. Get a business card, get a phone number, and pass it along if you can. Okay. I just want to welcome. We have a handful of our executive board members in the room tonight. If our rank and file executive board folks could stand up, just want to recognize you guys. Thank you. We have, stay standing for a second. We have Rob Schnars from Stop and Shop, We've got George Roman from King Cullen, Jeannie Batista from ShopRite Bonadonna, Alicia Boat from Glass Gardens, right? We've got Keith Jefferson in the back from Stop and Shop. On this side, we've got Ray Marrero from Fairway. Hey, Ray. Danny Gleason from King Cullen, of course, and Chuck Howard, of course, from Stop and Shop. So thanks, folks, for joining us tonight. I hope I got everyone there. I hope I didn't miss anyone. Again, this is our rank and file executive board. These are our vice presidents that help in all of the decision-making for the union. So thank you for joining us here tonight. Some housekeeping, or as Paul likes to say, some house cleaning. We will have a question and answer period later in the meeting, so I'm sure you have questions out there. Please write your questions into the comment area. For those of you who have attended this meeting before, you know exactly what to do. You write your questions in there. We have staff, we have different staff that's dedicated to writing down the questions and monitoring the questions out there. The questions will be presented to President Newell, who will be reading and then answering the questions at the end of the meeting. So get your questions in, get them in early, so we make sure we see them. Sometimes there's a lot of chatter, a lot of back and forth, reps saying hello to members and members saying hello to other members, and you know, sometimes questions kind of get lost out there. So get your questions in early so that we can get them written down and that we can address them, quite frankly. This is what this meeting is about. It's a state of your union. You'll hear from me, you'll hear from your Secretary Treasurer, you'll hear from your Director of Operations, you will hear from your President tonight regarding the state of your union, the state of our union, okay? I guess I'll start off with, who you got? Zach? All right, come on, Zach. Up next is Zachariah Levitan, also known as Zach. He will be giving you a political report.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Zach.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Zach Levitan, political representative with our great local 1500 family. It is a true pleasure and privilege to have your trust to serve you, and for that, thank you. When it comes to the political arena, let's begin with who we are. We are the local who everyone, candidates, elected officials, institutions, and more, calls when they need help. And if they haven't thought of us that way, they're going to. The reason is simple. We empower our members and all essential workers like nobody else. And when we say we have your back, we show up. Talk is cheap, but our record this year alone speaks for itself. So far this election cycle, we've endorsed 39 candidates and campaigned for 10, earning a total primary election victory rate of 91%. This means something, and that lesson is best summarized by our conversations with winning candidates, like the future Assembly member, whose first words after primary day were, "Thank you so much, you showed up," and the future Congress member, who said, "I'm moving forward in so many ways thanks to you." And that's thanks to you, the members of Local 1500 who show up every day and never with a complaint. We're involved in politics to remind policymakers that they serve you and to hold them accountable if they're foolish enough to not to. Now, it's an election year, and a highly partisan one at that. However, I take a sigh of relief every day knowing that our political action is not partisan. It is purely pro-worker. Any candidate who wants to improve your safety conditions, protect your wages, lower your health care costs, and bring more essential workers into our family is taken seriously. We may compromise on policy, but we will never compromise on our principles. Our endorsements reflect that oath. New York is the bellwether of the labor movement, and our jurisdiction has national bellwether districts from Long Island to Dutchess County. We will be enacting our oath throughout. Regardless of which party, if any, you're registered with, we are one, not on election day, every day. If you have any questions, I'm here and I hope to chat with you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Zach. Appreciate that. For those of you who joined us on Facebook Live, Zach just got married. recently, so we just want to congratulate him again. Congratulations on your wedding, Zach.
Thank you.
There's no need to watch it on the phone there. You got it like really live right here. Live. Forget about Facebook Live. I'm going to go with my report now. Okay. Oh, cool. Thank you. I'll give you a brief bargaining report on what we've been working on. I will tell you, in 2021, coming out of the height of the pandemic, I've said this before, in 2020, we had some contracts expiring. We had to postpone or extend most of those contracts into 2021. Problem was, in 2021, we had a bunch of contracts expiring anyway, so we basically had 2 years' worth of contracts to negotiate in 2021. Now here we are coming towards the latter part of 22, and just a quick tally we took the other day. In 2021, we negotiated, settled, and ratified 19 contracts. And in 2022, so far, we have negotiated, settled, and ratified 10 contracts. So that's 29 contracts in these 2 years so far. And we're still going strong. Going in reverse, Rob has mentioned in the past, and you'll hear him again mention UFCW Local 1718, which is a newly chartered union in our UFCW family. We have been tasked with helping them out, not only with servicing those shops along with 1718, but also helping them negotiate some of their contracts with 1718. Gourmet Glatt is one of the contracts that we have been negotiating, as you heard in the minutes earlier, those of you who are here present. But we have recently reached a tentative agreement with one of the Gourmet Glatt companies in Brooklyn. That ratification is scheduled for this Monday coming up, September 19th. Good luck to those folks who are working that ratification, and we look forward to some success there with the Gourmet Glatt, our extended Local 1718 family there. Going back in reverse, this past Friday we reached a tentative agreement with the Red Apple Group supermarkets. That's Gristedes Supermarket and D'Agostino Supermarket, for those of you who are unfamiliar. They are under one umbrella, but they are still two separate companies and two separate contracts for us. And while we negotiated both of those contracts together, they still remained separate. God bless you, Ray. This past Friday, we ratified that contract, and very proud, very happy to say that the Gristedes contract was unanimous, and the D'Agostino's contract was ratified unanimous as well. So I always say you always get a feeling you're doing something right when every single person who voted in favor of what they're seeing out there. So congratulations, and thank you. Congratulations to the Red Apple membership for sticking together, sticking strong, and thank you very much to our staff that worked that ratification vote in the 4 locations in Manhattan this past Friday. It's not easy to. A lot of times you get inundated with folks coming in to talk to you, listen to you. You have to start over your spiel again, and it's not an easy task to work a ratification. So proud of our staff that did that. Continuing to go in reverse, on September 1st, we ratified the Kings contract. Kings is, we have one Kings in Garden City here, relatively close to our office. And we're very proud of that contract as well. So thank you. Congratulations to those Kings members that attended, the committee that attended the meetings, as well as the membership who stuck together there and voted that contract in. Also unanimous, by the way. Again, thanks to the staff, Lynn, and I think Gina worked that ratification vote. Right, Gina? You did. Congratulations, and thank you. Going back in reverse again, IGA Amagansett, on August 12th, we ratified that contract. We rarely have IGA folks out here. They're out in Amagansett. They live out there in Amagansett and the Hamptons and beyond, and it's just it's it's difficult for them to attend, but they are very active members in that store. Quick little bit of history: the former owner, who we knew for many years, sold the store rather abruptly, and we were playing catch up basically for about a year there to try and meet the new owner, get an agreement together, get some wages set up for those members there, and we were finally successful in doing that. We have about 12 or 15 members out in that store. It's a small store, but we were able to bring it together there. I have some competition with little Giannis in the back right now, so if you see me chuckling a little bit, he's very active, very happy back there. So since we last met, also we have ratified the Village ShopRite contract that's on Bruckner Boulevard in the Bronx. That was Village's first foray into our jurisdiction. Village is a very large company in the ShopRite Wakefern Cooperative, and we were happy to say that was one of the first contracts that we ratified leading into the summer. Hey, you wanted to speak, didn't you? Well, here you are. The mic is right there.
This is our newest local 1500 member. This is Giannis Castro. Beautiful boy, son of Stephanie and Chris,
Yeah.
my executive assistant. And he's had a lot to say about Joe's report so far.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to introduce everybody.
Hi, everybody.
How to turn your union president into a puddle. Just give him a baby.
We are still negotiating several contracts also. We have PD's Pies, which is a company that we recently organized earlier this year. Congratulations and good job to our organizing staff. We're moving along pretty well with PD's there, and we are hoping to reach an agreement very soon. If you've never heard of PD's Pies, I encourage you to look into PD's Pies and buy a PD's Pie. You'll probably not buy anything else after that with regard to pies. Very proud that they're in our union family. Again, keep in mind, 100% union pie company in New York City. Square Roots is an urban farm company that we have discussed with you in the past, also organized earlier this year. We had, I think, our second session earlier today with Square Roots and their representatives, and we had a committee member from Square Roots. It's different, when we negotiate our contracts. When I say our contracts, our legacy contracts, our King Cullen's, our Stop and Shops, all of our Key Foods, and even the Gristedes and D'Agostino, those folks that we represent know that routine. Even the companies, they know the routine, and we get together. We may not always agree. In fact, we disagree quite a bit, but we know the process. When we're sitting down with new companies like PD's Pie or Square Roots, or even our 1718 folks that have never really done it the way we do it, it's a more encompassing process because we're learning them, they're learning us, they're learning our process, we're learning their process. So we are very happy to be sitting down with PDs and Square Roots and making some progress there on both of them. So we have another session scheduled with PD's next week on the 22nd. We had a session with Square Roots today, I mentioned. We have another session scheduled on September 29th. We have recently re-engaged with the ownership of Pickwick Key Food. We've been trying to figure out a delicate, sensitive way to get back to the bargaining table with them. We're trying to have things go as amicably as possible and as good as possible for the Pickwick membership. And Rob had a meeting with Ben Levine, the owner of Pickwick Key Food recently. I can't speak to it necessarily, but it went pretty well. And look, we're on the right path, and we have some dates that we're bouncing around in October for Pickwick, bargaining with, getting back to the table with the Pickwick folks, okay? So I know that's been a question that pops up several times on our recent general membership meetings, but have no fear, we are definitely looking to sit down with Pickwick folks relatively soon. And to those Pickwick committees, again, Pickwick, we have 3 separate and distinct contracts with Pickwick. We have the legacy contract, we have the new store contract, and we have the manager's contract. So if any of you guys are watching out there, we're planning on sitting down with you soon. We will be reaching out to you as well. Pomegranate is a kosher supermarket, also under the 1718 jurisdiction, that we have had 1 or 2 bargaining sessions with. We're bouncing around a couple more dates to get back together with them. Similar to Gourmet Glatt that I mentioned earlier, we are pretty far down the road with Pomegranate, and we are hoping to resolve that pretty soon for the 1718 folks. In addition to the Gourmet Glatt, I mentioned earlier that we are ratifying on Monday coming up. Excuse me, there are 3 other Gourmet Glatt LLCs that we are bouncing some dates around to get together with each of those companies individually and negotiate their contracts as well. So a lot of bargaining going on. I did not bring my props downstairs because we just ran out of an executive board meeting, literally straight from there down here. But since we last met here, we have a number of contracts that are in print and are out in the store. So if you haven't seen them yet, please contact your stewards, contact your rep, and ask them for a copy. The Stop and Shop contract, that's the green book, is in print and it is bilingual, okay? And that's our goal for most of our contracts, especially with a large percentage of Spanish-speaking membership out there. You know, we have to make sure we're communicating well with you also. So the Stop and Shop contract is in print and out in the stores. Bonadonna contract is out in the stores and in print. Dan Supreme is also out there in the stores as well. All of these contracts have been have gone to the printer, gone through the whole vetting process that we do, the whole printing process, and it is a long, arduous process to go from negotiation to printing. So I've written a couple of articles on negotiations and what it takes to negotiate, what it takes to get to an agreement, and then what it takes to get from agreement to a printed contract, and it's a lot. But we just keep churning them away. We sit at the bargaining table, we ratify them, then we move on, and we move it on to either Rob Ecker or Rob Newell. We'll do some of the work on cleaning up the language and joining the language old and new. Then it goes through a proofreading process. Then it goes to our printer. It's just on and on and on. But we're moving. We're in different stages of all these contracts, and we keep the cycle going, and we want to continue to be successful there and continue to bring you guys the contracts that we can.
SRS will be next. It's already been to the translator. That contract will be printed in Spanish and English. Glass Gardens is next to be reviewed with the employer. King's is almost ready to be reviewed with the employer. Following Glass will be Mannix, ShopRite, and we're just going to keep plowing away as we go. Believe it or not, certain contracts are just a little bit easier to get through the process than others. Whether it be less cleanup, less changes, or smaller companies, sometimes the company officials are a little bit more available. But at the end of the day, Stop and Shop should not have taken as long as it did. It's now out in the stores, and everything else will follow suit very quickly. So thank you for your patience and your understanding.
Yep. And part of that process, for the ones that we are getting translated, we send the entire contract out to a third-party translating service so they can certify it. As you know, we just don't sit here and translate word for word. We actually
You could do it, though.
We could do it if we probably wouldn't be a good product if I did it. But however, it's a process, and we want to make sure we print a certified copy of that for you guys. So everything takes time with these contracts, back and forth, probably 10 different shuffles with the printer once we finally get it to the level where we want to send it to the printer. It's a lot. There's a lot involved there. So just as Rob said, thank you for bearing with us. We're going to keep turning them out. We're working as fast as possible to get them out to you, but we want to make sure that they're as accurate and precise as possible before we get them to you. That's the end of my report. I am going to pass it on to our Secretary-Treasurer, Ali Wadi.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I wanted to just say thank you for joining us. I'm looking, in case anyone's wondering, on Facebook Live or even in the room. When I'm looking at my phone, I actually try and monitor what's going on Facebook Live to make sure that we're actually there and things are okay. So probably something that a few people in the room are doing. So just in case anyone was wondering. I also wanted to mention that I think Joe's very humble, because he is a person that's our lead bargainer for these deals. And I have to say that it's really an honor to sit beside him in these rooms and to see what's happening. I think that our world is transforming. I think that a lot of the employers are not, they're not agreeing to these contracts because they want to. They're agreeing to these contracts because, quite frankly, they have to. And for those that didn't get in early, I'll say soon after the pandemic started, things started to change. And when I say get in early, I mean they bargained their contract, they went through the ratification process, and that contract is already in place. What's going to continue to happen is that the shift is going to continue to go. And while people looked at essential workers as essential workers during the pandemic, that's not going to go away, just like high prices are not going away, like limited quantities of so many different things that we need to live our lives are not going away. So you know what, our people are amenities as well, and that's not going to go away. So thank you, Joe, for leading the way on those contracts, and I definitely think that you deserve a round of applause. So. Moving on, I certainly have to say hello to our friends at 328. Dom, I know you're watching. I already saw your comment. See, I'm not lying. I'm really paying attention. So hi, everyone in New England. It was great to see you recently. I hope to see you again soon. I have something that I want to share that's a little bit outside of the box that we don't typically share. I'm sure that everyone watches the news and sees a lot of the things that are happening in regards to crime around the city. And, you know, our team works really hard, as you'll hear from all of us. We really do appreciate everything that they do. And we had an unfortunate incident where one of our staffers was actually assaulted and robbed on the way home. Unfortunately for him, he was on the phone with his mom, and he was finishing out his day. And, you know, some things were taken away from him. And I think the worst thing that happened, though, that, you know, he was thrown on the floor and he was physically assaulted. So, it's okay if I say. So for those of you that know Rafael Hernandez, please keep him in your thoughts. And he is someone that is a very resilient person, but by no means do I think that any of us would want to be in that situation. So just, like I said, keep him in your thoughts.
If you wanted 30 seconds about Rafael Hernandez, the man had just been physically assaulted. He found a way to contact Allie, and the only thing he was concerned about was that 4 authorization cards from a campaign that he was working on were in his backpack, and they were lost with the theft. He was not nearly as concerned that he had just been assaulted, that his personal belongings had been stolen. He was literally only upset that he had lost cards that 4 workers had signed in support of their campaign to unionize with Local 1500. That's Rafael Hernandez in a nutshell. And what happened to him is a travesty, but it's unfortunate. In New York City right now, things are just a little bit less under control than they were pre-pandemic. The law of averages says it was a matter of time. I'm glad that it wasn't a significant injury, and that Raf is to Allie's point, very resilient, and he was actually working today. So, Raf, if you're watching, keep it up, kid. We're glad you're back.
Thank you, Rob. And look, just to say, please take care of yourselves, watch your surroundings, make sure that if you're going out at night and you can help yourself from being alone, do that. We're definitely going through some difficult times, and I think that there are some ups and downs in the city, and really anywhere you go, and I don't want to just label it there. So for all the membership out there and anyone that's watching, just be careful and take care of yourself. I'll move on to some more positive news. You know, we have, as I said, some really good people that work here, some pretty talented people, some people that really devote themselves to the membership, and whether it's day or night, they'll go out, they'll do it all. In particular, the next person that I'd like to ask to stand up, Mr. Pasquale. Oh, don't hurt yourself.
He just threw out his back.
So Greg has been with our union since 2014 as a staffer. Prior to that, he was with Stop and Shop for many number of years. We won't say how many. But what I really want to highlight about Greg is that no matter what the task is, I will say something that someone said to me, and I'll make it a little funny. Greg is always on 1,000 because he gives it his all. No matter what it is, you can count on Greg to put his best foot forward, and he has more energy than anyone in this room. So please applaud him as he has been promoted to the position.
Greg, hey Greg, come here. Let the Facebook people see you. Really? Yeah, really.
Yeah, why not?
Well, you don't have a Facebook account. This is the only way they're going to see it.
Back here.
Right behind Rob over here.
Greg is our new field director. Hello.
Just bend down a little
There you
bit.
go. Good
Oh, there I
job.
am.
There you go.
Hi, everybody.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you. And moving on, the next person that I would like to introduce is Rob Ecker. Rob, why don't you just come up so we can embarrass you here?
Stand up.
He won't have to bend down. God,
Never without static.
it's always static.
Rob has been promoted
See,
to
he
the
fits right in the
position-
box. No problem.
to the position of Assistant Field Director. In his position, he will be working directly with Greg, who's just been promoted, with Paul and with Joe. We're really proud of,
Jay. And Jay.
and Jay, sorry. We're really proud of Rob. I'll say in particular, I started working with Rob when he was an organizer, and I think we had a lot of good times and some pretty bad times. It was a different climate for organizing, but I think we always made the best of it. He's someone that's very committed, and he has been working us with the process of getting those contracts that Joe was talking about, from bargaining to print. He's the person in the middle that handles that, so please just congratulate him. Well deserved.
Thank you.
And he takes a good ribbon, just so we're clear.
And we're willing to give it all the time. So, like I mentioned before about the organizing part, and I just want to say that for those of us in the room and those of us watching, let's not lose any opportunities that we have out there to grow our membership. Our union was at some point in the high 22,000s, and we've lost some membership, obviously, due to AMP and to other circumstances. We still hold the title of the largest supermarket union in New York City, which is something that I think we should always promote because a lot of our roots are in the supermarket business. But let's not forget that there are a lot of workers out there that deserve and need our help. There are a lot of workers out there that not only deserve it and should have it, but are willing to step up and actually come to our side. And when you start to talk to people that actually want the union now, there's a different vibe, there's a different energy. These folks actually have the idea, when you talk to them, that members do, and they have the same feelings. They're no different than you. They're not people that are afraid anymore. They're not people that are looking behind their back, wondering whether or not the boss is going to attack them. They're actually people that want to sit across the bargaining table to talk to their employers and tell them what it is that they want. So please don't lose any opportunities to speak to them. It could very well be someone in your own family that needs that help. We're always here, our organizers are here, but if you ever want to just pick up the phone and call the office and speak to us directly, we're more than happy to help. I want to report that the UFCW has actually been making some strides in that. And Trader Joe's, which was a company that I myself tried to organize for a pretty long time without the success that took us to the point where we would have an election, they're actually moving along and they're looking to organize. They're getting into the news and they're getting into the media. The latest to report that I think is pretty cool is that the UFCW in Canada just won an election with Sephora, which is really exciting because now we're moving into more national chains, more so than we ever have before. And I do think that that's a trend that's going to continue. Our organizers are working really hard. We told you the unfortunate situation with Raphael, but there's a team here that's constantly working on bringing new members into the union. You heard Joe earlier talk about all of the different companies that we're now getting to bargain with. I actually really enjoy getting to know people because as an organizer, it's something that I guess I really enjoy doing. You sit across the table, you meet someone new, you get to know what they're about. It's not as easy as saying, you know, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call this employer that we've had for a very long time. But with everything, with every challenge, I think that we like to look at that as a lesson and a learning experience. And for us, it's actually taught us a lot to sharpen our skills, not only to deal with new employers, but also to use the newly found skills on the employers that we already have. So all in all, I could tell you that our union is moving in the right direction as it relates to growing. But like I said before, we certainly do need your help. I'll skip a couple of things because I want to leave something that's more fun for last. But I did want to report to you that the unions also, because of and if you heard my financial report in the beginning of the meeting, the union's taken a lot of effort to make sure that we're cutting any costs that we can to ensure that every dollar that's being spent here is being used the right way. So one example, and something that was pretty substantial, is that recently we did an RFP.
Request for proposal, that's what RFP stands for.
So we did that earlier in another meeting, so I figured it would work out pretty good. Which is a process where we go and we review other vendors that could potentially bring a similar service that's already being provided, and we could either go with a new replacement or stay with the one that we have based on the service that they're providing, the cost of it, and obviously a lot of other criteria. So I'm happy to report that your prescription drug plan will now cost $13 million less over the next 3 years. The reason, please applaud. The reason why this process concluded in that, and I think that the unique part of it is, it's something that you guys should know, is that we're still with the same company. So how did that get accomplished? That got accomplished because we put everyone in the room, and it's almost like giving someone an offer that they can't refuse. Because if we're going to put you up against others to provide us better pricing, then you're going to have to come back to us with something that's going to keep the business. And I think they made a decision that it was better to keep the business. You know, that's not something that's foreign to the way that we handle everything here. Everything, whether, you know, you're buying coffee or you're buying bagels or whatever it is here, we look at pricing all across the board to ensure that every dollar is being used in the best possible way. I would also like to take the opportunity to really recognize Rob for his leadership in that, because it starts with him and it goes down to every single person that works here. So thank you, Rob, for leading the way and making sure that we're always saving money for our members.
Every other commercial on TV is for a prescription drug for a reason. It's because their profitability is through the absolute ridiculous roof of any house that you could build. The realities of a 6% reduction in total welfare expense per year over the term for the next 3 years of the term of this contract is nothing to shake a stick at. We've had increases projected over the next 3 years that don't equate to 6%. And this savings does equate to just that, 6% in year one. It starts to slowly slide down, and it's obviously based on utilization and rebates, but it's significant. $13 million is $13 million. Average spend right now is somewhere between 70 and 75 million a year, so we're saving approximately 4.3 million per annum. So that's a great place for us to start, and considering we didn't have to ask you to pay more, we didn't have to ask your employers to pay more, that's a victory across the sheet.
It's pretty amazing when you take into account that we're talking about saving money for the prescriptions, but it actually touches everything that you guys do. When we go bargain contracts, we have to take into account how much money will be used to maintain the same level of your prescription or your benefits. So this is something that's going to reap some benefits across the board, pun intended. Moving on to something else that I think is really exciting for me, you know, it's kind of like the financial, I guess, at this point, but we're grieving our taxes, and we've been here long enough to do it. And, you know, we talked as a team, and we started talking about, you know, what's the next thing that's on the plate. And we're going to look at that, and we're going to make sure that we get as much of a reduction as possible, because we did have some
We were in an IDA pilot
Thank you.
program. Pilot means payment in lieu of taxes. And when you build a new building, you have the opportunity to apply to the town and the county that your resident or your building is going to be in, and they slide your taxes in. But as you get closer to the 10-year expiration of the IDA, the increases are very dramatic. And then when you complete the IDA, they hit you over the head with an axe handle. So we were recently hit over the head with a tax axe handle, and we are not going to grieve our taxes.
Yeah, so those discounts going away were pretty dramatic for us, and for anyone that owns a home can obviously relate to that discussion. So we've been here 11 and a half years, just for the record. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, it's something that we're constantly looking for new things to offer to our members. This is the new hat. There's a prototype. We will be ordering some more. For those of you that were at the Labor Day Parade, you did receive one. So we will be getting those into the stores as soon as we place a larger order. Look, with everything and the way that is happening, everything's at a limited access. Any product, whether you're talking about a car or a hat, it takes a really long time to produce these things, so we'll have them to you as soon as possible. The reps will come in. And if you haven't gotten one and you do see one at some point, always feel free to talk to your reps to see what's going on with anything that you have questions about. And that's all for me tonight.
Thanks, Sally. All right. Oh, the Secretary Treasurer. All right, so now you're stuck with me. The comments have been flying pretty quickly. Why did you change the screen before I could see? Good man, thank you. All right, I got a little bit of an eyeball on the chat box, so if I can try to keep tabs on you. To our friends at 328, we apologize we weren't able to be with you today at your Stewards Conference. I think it's the first time in 5 years that a representative of our local hasn't been up there to address your stewards. I know this morning it felt a little funny for me. But it just couldn't make the schedules work out this year. So we hope you had a dynamite conference. Dom, Tim, Sandra, and Joe Renzi, we miss you. And we'll invite you down to ours when the time comes, except you can Zoom into ours. You don't have to travel. So good to see you guys as always. Look, let's talk real quick. If those of you that were here in the room, obviously not the Facebook Live folks, you heard a line item in Allie's financial dealing with some $30,000 in expenses for the first 2 months of the Script Save Well RX program. Currently, we started in August 1st, so we did August and September. We're covering about 7,200 part-timers and their families and their pets. If you saw the video, it's haha, but it's not really a lie, it's true. There are certain pet medications that cross the lines that are available for human consumption as well, and there's discounts available for that. But 7,200 of our members who didn't have access to a prescription drug program through this union or any type of a discount program woke up with one on August 1st. It's anybody who's been a part-time member for at least 1 year, and all of our folks at Foragers, Hale and Hardy, Petey's Pies, Square Roots, and I might be forgetting one or two, but there are a number of companies out there where we don't have the same level of negotiated benefits that we have in some of our major industry contracts, so we made all of those folks immediately eligible for the card as well. I can tell you that it's interesting, right? You send your staff out, you send your service reps and your union reps out, and they're out trying to collect contact information on our members, whether it be email addresses or cell phone numbers, and there's always a couple of people here and there that don't want to do it, and unless there's a carrot, they don't want to entertain the idea of sharing their information. Well, the number of refusals that came in via email the moment the drug cards hit everyone's email who had enrolled with us We are picking up new contact data all day, every day, and I wish it didn't have to be a carrot stick situation, but at the end of the day, we're only asking for your information so that we can keep better connected to you, let you know more of the things that are out there that benefit you as a matter of you being a member of this union. Obviously, the Scripps Save WellRx Premium program was the first step. We're going to be launching a program, and this one, the name is a little difficult, so I don't expect you to remember it, but it's called Augeo. I'm just going to read you the talking points that Augeo sent me. Augeo is a savings and benefit program which will be exclusive to our 1,500 members. That'll be everybody who, sorry, I just tapped the mic. That didn't sound good. It'll be exclusive to every one of our members with over 30 days of service. That's going to give you access to 700,000 local deals near, far, and save wherever you are. That's the Augeo, that's their way. There's going to be national deals for companies like Costco and Cabela. There's discounted travel, hotels, car rentals, airfare, and event tickets, theme parks, zoos, and museums. And as I said, it will be nationwide. So if you're in the mood to travel, or if you have something coming up, you may be able to receive some type of a discount by going through our Perks Connection website. Watch over our social media for the next couple of days. You'll start to see some launch materials coming out about that. There's also a card-linked cashback program where you can enroll any credit card, whether it's a cashback card or not, and it would be a secondary service for cashback programs. Obviously, it has more to do with them tracking your shopping habits, I'm sure. Otherwise, they wouldn't be offering you a cashback. But it's a good opportunity if you want to try to offset some of your costs. There's also opportunities for you to purchase auto and home insurance at a bundle, even if those two companies aren't related. It's a pretty great program, and if you check it out, I'm sure there'll be something for just about everyone there. Not everything is going to fit everyone, but I'm sure there's a little bit of something for everyone. Working hand in hand with that, in a month or so, you're going to see a secondary program come out called Purchasing Power. Purchasing Power is a much more involved program, and as we get closer to the launch, we'll do a little bit more explanation. But what it's going to do is it's going to give our members who may be in a little bit of a financial bind an opportunity to purchase larger ticket items, whether it be an appliance, a computer, potentially furniture, and to buy it where you're on a 6 to 12 month purchase plan. It comes out of your payroll check. They have a financial institution ability, so they'd be able to set up the purchase through your employer, through your paycheck, and deduct that over a 6-month period or a 12-month period of time. It's not going to be a program that, again, that applies to everyone, but our jurisdiction, our membership is incredibly vast. It's not old and young. It's not all white and black. It's not straight and gay. There's also a variety of different capabilities as it relates to fiscal ability. And there are many of our members that live check to check. There are many of our members who are struggling to pay their way through school while working. And at the end of the day, if you have a major impact or a major expense that comes up, you may not have the ability to go out. You may not have the credit extension to go out and put something on a credit card. And if you do have that ability, that may cost you some 23, 24% if you don't pay it off on time. The Purchasing Power program will give you an opportunity to do that at a significantly reduced rate. No, it's not free. Nothing in the world is free. But I can tell you that there could be a situation where some of our membership could greatly be benefited by the opportunity to do this and not have to go through a high-rate credit card or take a loan at a ridiculous rate of pay. So we're excited about that. That should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And we're going to continue to look for new and exciting ways to increase the value of the membership dollars that you're spending on a daily basis. We know it, we respect it, and we don't take it lightly. So go through a couple things that I think you should know. There was a reference earlier to our scholarship breakfast. We had it right here at the Union Hall on August 2nd. We gave out $66,000 this year to 21 winners. I believe 18 of the 21 are actually dues-paying members of the union, not just dependents of dues-paying members. That's a really important distinction to us. You know, the world is changing. The environment is different. The classroom is a little bit different. Let's face it, kids had to go to school on a computer for 2 years as opposed to in person. So we've dramatically modified our scholarship program to try to be as all-inclusive as possible. And one of the things, believe it or not, that was never counted was membership in this union. Membership in the union is now valued as an equal, I guess an equal weight, has an equal metric, thank you, as grades or SAT scores or extracurricular activities. This is a union. It's a union scholarship program, so your membership should be valued. It is now valued by the scholarship committee when they evaluate the applications, and it's without question the first time that almost every applicant that received a scholarship was a dues-paying member of our union, and that's just a fantastic benefit. If you're looking for holiday gifts this year, you heard Joe talk about Petey's Pies. I can tell you this, you may get some sticker shock because this is not a pie that you're going to find in your local bakery at a Stop and Shop or a King Cullen, and it might even be a little bit higher priced than your local neighborhood bakery. But I've sampled one, and I can tell you it's worth it. You want to send somebody for a loop, you're going to send them a Petey's Pie for Christmas or for Thanksgiving. It's a pretty great thing, and when we get the opportunity, once this contract is negotiated, we're going to do everything we can to grow Petey's Pies, to grow their business, because the reality is every single thing done there is going to be union. So if their business increases, the need for more members at work is going to increase. The number of shops that they may open and operate as a retail establishment is going to increase, and their commissary could also increase in size. So we're very excited at the relationship. No, we're not done yet, and yes, I'm sure Joe will get his share of headaches through the process. But when push comes to shove, this is not a company that was anti-union in its campaign. And we look forward to working together with them because they're going to employ a lot of local 1,500 members for years to come. I want to congratulate Jeff Guardato and Steve Zeiner for running a really successful local 1,500 fishing trip. It was a charity fundraiser out of Suffolk County. Honestly, my daughter and I have been going on the fishing trip since Joe Castelli first ran it, I believe 10 years ago. Give or take. I think my daughter might have been 6 years old the first time we went on the boat, and I think our staff just knows that if someone doesn't run a fishing trip and my daughter complains, there's going to be hell to pay, and I agree, all of you, that is a fact, so continue to run our fishing trip every year. But we had some 40-some-odd members on the boat with us. It was a great Friday night, and if you don't know much about our fishing trip is more of a booze cruise with a little bit of fishing than it is a fishing trip with a little bit of booze. So it's a great time, even if you're not a fisherman or a fisherwoman, a fisher person, I don't know what the right way to say that is. If you don't like fishing, I can assure you my secretary-treasurer is a half a germaphobe. She hates being on a boat, but we have a great time, so I encourage you to come out with us next year. My goal is to have a Jeff Guardato boat and a Steve Zeiner boat, and for there to be a competition amongst their members. So I throw that challenge out to all the members in Suffolk County and Nassau County. If you can make that a reality, you'll make my day. But great job this year. Every year the trip gets a little bit better. I had the ability to attend my first International Executive Board meeting. I was lucky enough to be appointed onto the International Executive Board and voted on in February of this year. There's some pretty exciting stuff coming down the pipe for the International, including potential for national organizing campaigns. There's just certain companies that have grown beyond the size of any two locals or even district of locals in the UFCW or any respective international labor union to take on independently. And between International President Perón's affiliation to the National AFL-CIO and our, some 1.2 million members of the UFCW nationwide, there is going to come an opportunity for us at Local 1500 to be involved in a national organizing campaign that will be coordinated by the International Organizing Director and his staff. And I got to be honest, it's an exciting thing for us to hear. Taking on targets that are local is very important to our employers, but for growth and stability and to level the marketplace, to take on a national competitor the likes of potentially an Aldi, Trader Joe's, a Whole Foods, that's something that could create a real seismic shift in our industry from coast to coast. So I hope that becomes a reality, and we're all very much looking forward to that. This is a little bit of a sensitive topic. So it's still in its planning stages, but I wanted to first put it out there and throw it across at our general membership meeting, and there'll be a lot more conversation about it. There are a handful of benefits that apply to a local 1500 retiree that reaches age 65, has a specific number of years of service, and retires with a relationship to the welfare fund the month prior to their retirement. So you have to be active, you have to at least be getting a welfare contribution, and then you retire. And right now it's a Medicare reimbursement that goes out, and then there's a handful of very small retiree benefits if you qualify. So the Board of Trustees for the Welfare Fund is looking at potentially making a change to that plan going forward and trying to introduce a Medicare supplemental plan that would apply to all new retirees after a certain date, and that would be given as an option to those that are in the current Medicare reimbursement program, but only for a period of time, and then eventually it would default everyone into a Medicare reimbursement plan. And although it's still a long way from a solidified thing. It hasn't been voted through yet for the trustees. There are some things we want to continue to vet. I think the trustees of the welfare fund are looking to provide an actual benefit as opposed to direct depositing money in people's account. The cost associated with the Medicare reimbursement plan has exponentially grown over the last 10 years, and whether you know this or not, there is no contribution that comes in to offset that cost. So if you think about all of our active members, every active member gets a healthcare contribution per member per month based on your status. All that money goes into the fund and it helps pay for the benefits as they're used. When it comes to the Medicare reimbursement program, that's just a straight loss to the fund. It's the equivalent of shrink in any one of your stores. It's just money going out. It's a hole in the bottom of the bucket because the number of people that qualify for that benefit has grown each year, which, although the benefit was capped a number of years ago, means that now we're north of $1 million a year in money. You good, Pete? Yeah. Pete's honking his horn over here. We're over $1 million a year in payments in that regard through the Medicare reimbursement program without a corresponding contribution. That creates a drain on the active members' pension fund. So the Medicare Advantage supplemental program that we're looking at not only provides a massive benefit, but it also is able to do that at a reduced rate. So it would give the fund an opportunity to offset and reduce some of those uncontributed costs while presenting a much different benefit that's something other than a direct deposit and $150 a day if you end up in the hospital. So I wanted to kind of throw it out now. I'm sure I'm going to get a couple of angry phone calls tomorrow from retirees. Be that as it may, just understand something. We're not going to do anything without a full communication process. It will not be me explaining to you what it is. It will be the folks from the company that we do contract with if we go in that direction. I'm sure my friends at Siegel and our friends at ARIA will also have something to do with the explanation program. But I wanted to try to get it out there as early as possible. I can assure you the way it's going right now, if we don't make a change, it's an inevitability that the Board of Trustees is going to make a decision to cut that benefit off in its entirety, which would mean that nobody after a certain date is going to earn it. That is a much more punitive, a much more draconian modification than actually taking a savings to the plan while providing a massive benefit package as opposed to just writing reimbursement checks and doing direct deposits. But there's a lot of work left to be done there. I just didn't want it to, I don't want to pass an opportunity. As the board met yesterday, it's still fresh in my mind, so I wanted to discuss it with the membership. I just wanted to make a couple comments about our staff. There was a couple new faces, a couple promotions that were announced tonight. And, you know, it's really great to be me when things go well. And when things go sideways, it's a little difficult to be me. But I sit here surrounded by one of the best bargainers in the UFCW. Joe Waddy has been our CBR, our collective bargaining representative, as well as our executive vice president and our recorder for a number of years. And as somebody who you sat second chair with me a number of times as you came up the ranks, as I bargained contracts, I can tell you, I don't believe that one person in this staff has shown more growth in the last 18 months than Joe Waddy. He has taken on all comers, whether they're represented by an attorney or not, whether there was the likes of Stop and Shop or the likes of an IGA out in Amagansett, and that would be the difference to head to tail on our organization. That's one of the smallest contracts we have versus the biggest contract we have, and Joe has successfully led every single one of those negotiations, whether he had Ali at his side, whether he had Paul at his side. There are times I've joined, there are times he did these things by himself. And quite frankly, I don't think we could be better represented than we are currently at the bargaining table than by Mr. Waddy and his team. So I want to echo the sentiment that my Secretary-Treasurer said before, because I also don't want there to be any misconception. Although they are related, they're very tough on one another when it comes to the job. And I got to be honest with you, Joe is absolutely slaughtering the ball. So, Joe, congratulations. And thank you. And he's the only guy I know that hates compliments more than I do, so there you go. You know, also tonight you met a young man named Zach Levitin, and you know, quite frankly, this organization has had its ups and its downs in the political world, and I am not a fan of politics. I am less of a fan of politics than I am of politicians. It's something I say all the time, haha, I should have a t-shirt made or a hat. But at the end of the day, politics and politicians are a necessary evil in our business, and if you find the right ones and they're willing to partner with you, and they are, as Zach said, pro-worker, I don't care whether they're red or blue or green or orange. I could care less. If they're going to help dictate, they're going to help protect, if they're going to help create, if they're going to help manifest and deliver for our members on a daily basis, we want to support them. If they're not, we want to support the person that's going to remove them from office. That's what we get paid to do. I'm not here to discuss moral issues. I'm not here to discuss issues of church and state. And although we get painted routinely as being liberal and snowflakes and libtards and 100 other things that people like to refer to folks who support the Democratic Party, by and large, we will only support a candidate that's willing to support our members. And you can try to categorize that however you want. Your political views may not agree with the views of this union, but understand something. It's not my political views personally any more than it's Zach's or Allie's, Joe's or Paul's that guide this local union. It's the benefit provided, the opportunity to grow our membership through supporting the right politicians and the right elected officials. Zach is a professional. This is not a situation like we've had before where we've had a service rep or a union representative that delved into the political world to learn their way through. And Zach knows this game. Zach's worked for elected officials both on winning and losing campaigns. He's a young man. He's going to be with us for a long time, unless, of course, he hands me a pink slip at the end of this meeting. But I expect that he's going to not only continue to develop our political program, but grow it to a point that it's never been before. He's going to expect boots on the ground. He's going to need boots on the ground to deliver on his promises to these folks. We don't write blank checks. But at 16,000 members spread from Amagansett to Rhinebeck, we have the ability to positively impact pro-union candidates, pro-worker candidates, and negatively impact anti-union or anti-worker candidates. The choice is really yours. He will drive the bus. He just needs people to get on with him and ride. We've given Zach a lot of latitude for someone who's been with us for the shorter period of time as he has, and I think he's earned every bit of that. He works very closely with Dan Byers, who's one of our organizers. Dan and Zach kind of divide up the jurisdiction a little bit and try to manage it. But I got to be honest, I'm very glad that you got an opportunity to meet Zach today. I think it's important that you know that we didn't pull Zach out of a hat. Zach did a lot of work with former President Tony Spielman and his partner out at the Brookhaven Town Dems, Anthony Portese, a former member of ours for a very long period of time out of King Cullen. So although Zach wasn't family when he got here, he was family adjacent, and he came with a family recommendation, and we couldn't be prouder to have you. So, by the way, you got about 9 million congratulations, and Joy is on watching, so you're probably going to have a good time when you go home later. So, to Zach, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You heard that Mr. Pasquale and Mr. Ecker were elevated in status. Look, everything that we're doing here is to try to increase our level of service. And whether it's the advent of our service rep program coming back, whether it's going back to 2 assistant directors and a director, whether it's making Paul responsible for not only overseeing those 3 guys, but overseeing this building, every day we have to change. We have to adapt to our surroundings. We have to adapt to what the membership needs in the field, and we're going to continue to try to do that. Allie pointed something out earlier in our executive board meeting that actually I don't know if it was the executive board meeting or the meeting with the executives before that, but we have less members than we had 7 years ago, yet we have more staff today than we had then. And you know, typically, if you think about your stores, if your store used to do $700,000 a week and now it does $400,000 a week, there's no way on God's green earth you have more employees in your store now than you did when you did $700,000. In our case, we've increased service. I think we've not only increased the level of service by person, but I think we've increased the ability and just the overall demographic of our local. I think for a long time our local looked a lot different than it does today. I think there are old and young, white and black, man and woman, gay and straight, and I think that we appeal to and can cover just about all bases that we represent today. And I think that's something, if I had to find one thing that I think is one of the most unintentional but important things that this leadership team has changed, is that we are very reminiscent and very much, I was going to say reflective of our diverse membership, and that's something that I think we're going to continue to try to do going forward. We're always looking for a few good people. I'm not saying that we're hiring today, but I can tell you that a lot of the folks that are on our job today have waited quite a while. Some came through our executive board, some were members, some were former members that got stuck in bankruptcy situations. And the one thing I can tell you is that retaining control and staying connected with this union is never a bad thing. Whether you're active, whether you're inactive, whether you're retired, whether you're on a break, whether you're going to school, staying in connection with your union could lead you to a vast array of opportunities. Our scholarship program offers you not only an opportunity to get a reduction in your school price, but it also offers you connections to our professionals. We are represented by attorneys, we have accountants, we have professionals in the actuarial field, we have TPAs, which means third-party administrator. There's a variety of things that your union does that could open a door and connect you to the next step in your career. It's not just about coming in to represent you because you got in trouble because you didn't come in on time, or coming in to make sure that there's a light switch cover on the light switch so you don't get electrocuted if you can walk into an empty room with a little bit of water on the floor. There's a lot of things that we do here on a daily basis, and you know, this building is named after Frank Meehan, and one of the most important things that Frank ever said to me as a young staffer was, we don't do a very good job celebrating all the good things we do, but we do a really great job explaining the hell out of the things that we don't like. And sometimes that makes people look at us and assume that the only time the union's there is when something's wrong. The only time the union's there is when something's in trouble. Or the only time you need the union is if you're a screw-up. And that couldn't be categorically more incorrect. And I think a lot of the things that have happened over the last number of years have proven that not only is there a value in this union, but that the value of this union, the value of the membership in this union, continues to exponentially increase on a daily basis. I think our staff today is significantly more capable than the staff that was on when I came on, and I think they're going to continue to pass us by like we were standing still. And in some people's cases, sitting in my chair, seeing people do the job that you did better than you did it, that would be a very intimidating situation. To me, that's my success. Putting additional people on, putting new people on to do the job the same or better than you did it before, that's the definition of a successful leadership team. And at the end of the day, I'm proud as shit that Joe negotiates our contracts. I'm proud that Zach is building a political program for us. I'm proud of our 3 service reps that came through various degrees to get this job. I'm proud of our union representatives and our directors. Our office staff is now fully engaged. If this camera could spin, you would see that almost every single person who works in our office staff representing your needs is in this building at the general membership meeting. That didn't happen before. They're engaged. They understand the value of the membership in this union. They want to be here to serve you. They want you to get to know who they are so that if you need their help, you know who you're talking to on the phone. Many of those things are because those folks are former members of our union. Many of them. And if you don't know them, stop by. COVID's almost behind us. They'll take your temperature before you come in, but come in and say hello. I guarantee you'll be surprised. Okay? I appreciate you indulging me. I hope I didn't get too preachy. Sometimes things just hit me while we're talking, and this is a really great union, and I'm proud as hell to be the leader of it, and I hope you're half as proud to be a member as I am to be its president. So I guess we'll open the floor to Q&A, unless you got something else. No. We got questions. Here comes Mr. Ziner. That's because he's watching. Thank you, sir. All right, not too bad. Well, here's a shock. 1 and 2, same question. Lillian and Aileen, what is happening with Pickwick negotiations? I don't know how early you asked that question, but I'm pretty sure that we answered it. I had a meeting with Ben. It went pretty well. It was cordial. Joe and I plan to meet with the team again in the next couple of weeks to try to establish a process and try to establish a path to get to a collective bargaining agreement. Once that's done, my presumption is we'll be back at the table bargaining with them in October. I did see, although it's not on here, I did see what's going on with King Cullen contract. Your contract expires December 31st. If you remember, or if you've forgotten already, I know Joe would like to forget. We took an opportunity to try to negotiate that contract early. Unfortunately, we could not get the company to come to their senses. Mr. Waddy made a decision to shut it down so that we could continue to focus on companies where we had an opportunity to get positive settlements, which he has brought in droves since that time. If you don't know, Dave Negron, who would have been the chief negotiator for King Cullen, is no longer with the company, and Bob Jandovitz has returned in a temporary fashion while they look to replace Dave Negron. I assume that there will have to be some adjustment made to who's going to be the chief bargainer for King Cullen, just because, you good? Okay. Just because at the end of the day, I doubt very highly a company like the King is going to hire someone next week or next month and then say, oh, okay, here's the keys to bargaining, go sit down with Local 1500. I don't see that as the case. I don't know what the future is going to bring there, but I assume that we'll be back at the table. Joe's going to set up a traditional in-person proposal meeting. Oh, boy, I'm having word retrieval issues tonight. I'm getting old.
Too many words today.
Yeah, too many words. Words, as our former accountant used to say. But he's going to set up a traditional proposal meeting probably in a few weeks, and then we'll get back to the table with the Cullens. I can tell you, Joe warned them, and it has become the case. The cost of doing business is rising every day. The lower the unemployment is, the lower the population of available employees there are to do the jobs that you do, the more expensive it becomes to settle a new contract with you. And if I was King Cullen, I'd probably be kicking myself in the ass right now that I didn't settle a contract 3 or 4 months ago. But I don't get paid to run that company. I get paid to run the union. So we'll see how much the tax is for not taking advantage of an early settlement. Ian Matthew, how can I watch tonight's replay on Facebook or YouTube? So as soon as this meeting is over, if you search us on the Facebook page, our page will come up. It'll be one of the first videos that's there. You can watch the whole thing. You can skip around. I assure you I watch it back to see how good or bad I did over the next couple of days. So it's a pretty easy process. On the YouTube, is it the same way?
Just got to give us like a date.
Okay, so on YouTube it'll take a day or two, but literally as soon as this broadcast is over, it's minutes before it's available to you to watch on our Facebook page. Mike O'Neill and Robbie Foster from King Cullen Bridgehampton. Same question, what is the status of King Cullen negotiations? If I had seen that, I would have just thrown your names out there already. Dan Augustine, is there a maximum benefit through the prescription program? Dan, there used to be capped prescriptions. There is no longer a cap on the prescription drug program. The ACA eliminated all caps for all things medical. Certain programs have a cap on the number of scripts you can get, not the dollars. Certain restricted number of pills per prescription. We do not have that. There could be certain compound medications and things of that nature that make you jump through another step. There are definite benefits to using the mail away versus a retail. So without knowing the specifics, Dan, I don't want to give you a blanket answer, but traditionally, no, there wouldn't be a maximum benefit. Oh, I don't know. If you were talking about ScriptSave, Dan, then no, absolutely not. There's no maximum benefit. Also ask for a contact with a workers' comp lawyer, and they're in the room, so we'll make sure that we give them your contact information. All right, good, excellent. Beautiful, excellent. Kimberly DiNicola, King Cullen number 3. You need more help in store number 3. Okay. I will send Jeff Guardato. You give him an apron and a cutter. Oh, well, see, I was going to send Jeff. Now I'm going to send Steve. You just got to give him a haircut and a shave when he gets there. No, listen, I don't mean to make light of it, Kimberly. First of all, I appreciate your sentiment. I appreciate you taking the time to write the question. I can tell you that is the case pretty much across our union. Right now, I would tell you that Local 1500 is probably 700 members lighter than it could be if we had available candidates going through the door. And that's a really difficult position for us, right? In many cases, throughout my career, we've had less members in places because the employers were too cheap or they were cutting labor too much because it's the most tangible expense. And in today's world, more cases than not, it's because we can't get a qualified pair of hands to come through the door. I think everybody runs in fear of trying to put a brand new 18-year-old behind a deli who's got no training because you don't want them to slice a finger or to hurt someone else or cut their hand with a knife. So it's a little bit more difficult in some of the perishable departments than it is, but they can't find folks to come in and pack out. They can't find folks to come in and run registers, push carriages, or even do maintenance. So it's definitely not just an issue out in Cutchogue, although it's probably exponentially more difficult that far east, especially since the change in allowances for temporary immigration that typically used to come in from Ireland. So a lot of other folks were not available because they were retained long beyond their typical spots for their typical length of stay for the summer. So I respect the fact that it's difficult, but unfortunately I don't have an answer there.
This was answered, but maybe you want to mention it. There was a question about.
Oh yeah, that's the 19. Okay, so for those shop stewards that are here, put in your books, and it will be virtual. We will not be in person. It will be a full one session virtual shop steward seminar. Will be October 19th. You will get an electronic invitation, I think, as we've done in the past. And I can tell you that we will get you all, it's no different, it's the same exact setup as it's been in previous years. The only difference is you'll all be under one Zoom as opposed to doing Long Island separately from upstate and then the New York City by itself. So it'll be a little bit more for our staff to manage, but at least we'll get everybody back together. We feel that there's more value in that.
Something interesting.
Wow. Interesting. So Barbara Young, I had no idea that you worked for Amagansett at IGA before you worked at King Cullen Bridgehampton. I assume you're working pretty hard no matter which one of those stores you work in, especially if it's in the summer. So interesting little tidbit. So that's all I got. I don't see any other questions popping up that I believe. So I'm going to pass it back to Mr. and Mrs. Waddy so they can do the raffle. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything you do. Thank you for your membership, and stay safe out there.
Okay. You gonna slide over? Slide over.
Who's just gonna-
Huh?
That's crazy. You want to sit closer, or you're okay there?
I'm okay here, just the speed of this. He's collecting the cards.
Yeah, bring the bot.
He's got the, right there. He's got the bottom. No, what do? You do it separately, Joe?
Well, yeah. First we
First
do.
here.
Right there? Okay.
So we do 5 here. What are we gonna do?
Seven.
Yeah.
That's including the board.
Please.
5 here.
We have all the cards? We're good?
All right, here we go on the raffle.
Okay.
So that's just here, right?
That's just the in person.
In person first for 5.
Okay.
I'll pull it.
Sherry.
I was gonna say Shaq. Yeah, come on, President Newell.
No looking.
I'm not looking. I'm staring at Tyreek. Thank you. I'll take mine.
Okay. First 2. Okay. We've got Brian Lewis, good, and Sherry Billy.
You gotta show that. That was not big.
divots on the thing. Found them in two
You
seconds.
called it. You knew it. There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Gary, pull one.
Pull one of these, please. No looking. And Brian, you pull one too. Grab that now.
Sherry, what story?
Peter Hoffman.
Where's the big one out?
Thank you, sir.
There he is. Pete, you just won a gift card, Pete. Come up front, take another one.
Anne Marie Griffin. That's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Peter.
Good job. And Anne Marie picked. This is the last one for the only in person.
Peter, what store you're in?
Stan. Where's Stan? I saw Stan.
Dan Yadiak.
There he is. All right. Where's the rest of the cards?
Right here.
All right, where's the rest?
No, he's right there.
To the left.
Oh,
Dan, you all right, brother? Yeah. You got a blown out tire there.
Only 2 more. All right, let's mix this up. Mix this up. Mix this up.
Peter, what store you're in, Peter?
Zach, come here, Zach.
516.
All right, let's do this. Angel Luis Santiago, Dags number 6.
Guys, pay attention. You gotta pick up your cards.
Wendy, come here, pick a card. Come on. Some good luck here. Madeline Ecker, store 512.
This one has to go back.
Eck, come on up, pick a card. 5 over here. And we have Linda Milton, King Cullen 26. Yeah. David, come here. You got 2, okay, that's good. Leonard Malika, King Cullen 51. Malika. And Jess Vera, Stop and Shop 544. Congratulations, Jeff. Danny, come in. Come on, Dan. Come on, Dan. Dan Gleason. How many more? Oh, you got a few more.
2.
Pick 2. Pick 2.
You should have 5 more.
1. Jeff Arroyo, ShopRite 801. Elaine Yindell. Hope I read that right. King Cullen 53. Freddie.
How many we doing?
Pick 2. 2. We got Betty Ford, pick quick 448. Congratulations, Betty. And Patty Lynch, Stop and Shop 513, up yonder. 2 more.
Yep.
Vilma, come on, Phil.
That wasn't done.
Pick 2, please.
One.
Which?
One more.
1? Pick 1. Pick 1, Bill. Pick 1. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And the last winner is Amy Noble, Stop and Shop 581. Congratulations, Amy. Yay. Thank you, everyone. I need a motion, the second to adjourn the meeting. Greg Pasquale, Jeannie Batista. Thank you, folks. Thanks very much. We'll see you here in December.